continue to hit the brick wall. To join the conversation, call us at 0700 1051 1051. You can send us WhatsApp on 0909 916 4403 or reach out to us via social media accounts at City 1051 on Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mascot Ogunjemiyo, for joining us, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Reuben. Thank you for having me. I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you very clearly here in the studio. Now, let's begin with the big question. Pump price of fuel has become so expensive in Nigeria now. Since the removal of fuel subsidies, since May 29, 2023, when President Tinubu said fuel subsidy was gone. And then now we are being told that in the last 1 month or so, yes, September, October, fuel prices have been increased more than 141%. And now we're being told that in Lagos we will buy fuel at over 900 naira, in other parts of Nigeria at over 1,030 naira. And yet, some people tell us, oh, the market is now fully deregulated. How? Mr. Ogunjemiyo, you are an industry subject area expert.
Yeah, thank you. This has been a very serious issue in the economy, and is a major driver to the growth of Nigeria economy. Let me correct one impression that only the rich benefit from subsidy. Is not true. Subsidy go through all the cadre. It's just that the benefit you derive, the bigger you consume, the more the benefit subsidy you consume. So, but it trickle down to every facet of the economy, to everybody in the economy. So everybody have been subsidized, and we're subsidized in two ways. Dollar was subsidized, and that have made a lot of people to be able to send their children abroad to study overseas, and a lot of people have benefited from that because they got cheap foreign exchange to do this. And those people that are importing goods, they also get cheap foreign exchange for their import. And on the fuel side, the subsidy is on two sides. The dollar that was used, because the fuel was imported fully initially, so the dollar we used to import the fuel is subsidized, and in the market again, the price is regulated, so we get the subsidy in two ways. So, but now when the previous administration, right from President Olusegun Obasanjo, tried to deregulate the system and remove subsidy, it was not possible because of the fight back from the masses through the labor, NLC in particular, and that fight was successful. So they could only increase the price, they couldn't remove subsidy. When it came to President Goodluck Jonathan, as he entered as president, he tried to make it an economic policy to remove the subsidy because the money were no longer there for investment in subsidies. Although Obasanjo did not invest in infrastructure, but he was able to save a lot of money for the economy. So, but after that, we discovered that this money saved somehow is being shared, and it was used to subsidize dollar basically. So it all went into subsidies. So President Jonathan was able to try to remove the fuel subsidy, but along the line, when he saw the consequences, he retracted, and we're still where we are. So he was only able to increase the fuel price. That is, just move the fuel price and move also the foreign exchange a little bit, at least for them to be able to manage the situation. Then President President Buhari thought there was no subsidy, but he got there, he discovered that yes, this subsidy exists. And the funny thing is that because we could not refine the oil here locally, when the price of crude oil, either way, we were at that great risk. So either way, the what's cost of fuel go up. So we only feel the impact for a short time, but then we now begin to see the effect of the up and down
Mr. Ogunyemi,
oil market. So now the president,
but I thought they said these market forces are not so given, and that market forces can go up and down. But it looks like Nigeria is the only country in the world where these market forces are completely blind. But you are saying that it's because of foreign exchange issues that we have. Now, NNPC Limited has said it will no longer be the sole off-taker. There is now a willing seller, willing buyer market, particularly with the local refineries. Now, what effect is that going to have? Now, you just said these market forces are completely blind. Whether, pump price goes down or goes up, as long as our foreign exchange regime is skewed and chaotic, then Nigerians, you are saying Nigerians should just, embrace this hardship because that is the only thing that is given. Is that what we should deal with?
Yeah, just to balance the issue, this government have made a decision that subsidy is gone. Initially, they made that decision. It also led to it was not fully implemented because initially they just increased the fuel price, and NNPC was managing the balance through on the recovery. So it is obvious whenever you see NNPC is the sole importer or the sole
off-taker,
distributor, off-taker, either from Dangote or from when you import it offshore. It's obvious that there is subsidy. It's because they are trying to manage the pricing. That's why it's only NNPC that is importing. So, but now they have taken at the bold step to withdraw completely from price management. So now it's going to filter down. But the shock will not be as huge as it was before because our exchange rate, the Naira is now trying to get its true value. Is clearly the Naira is reaching its true value in the market. Although if we still have the shock of very low oil price, we will still face some exchange rate crisis. So, and because what the saving they thought they had before in foreign exchange was not really there, so those are some of the reasons why the impact of the subsidy removal was huge. So because the foreign exchange they thought they have was not really actually there, so the market adjusted to that. Now we are doing about 1,600 on the exchange rate management that the government was doing. They have been feeding on the exchange rate management. Now the reality has come, and some of them could not cope, so they have to sell off their stake in Nigeria, and not just in Nigeria. In some of them are selling off in Africa as a whole because most of the country are no longer able to manage the subsidy, or they are no longer able to subsidize the economy as it is. So if we can direct this to production and see how we make some relief to the masses. Unfortunately, the security issues, because what is most important is food to be on the table for everybody to eat. But unfortunately, because of the security issue in the rural area where food comes from, so it is still a big issue, increasing food production so that there will be some kind of relief. And the reality is that they just need to increase people's pay so that at least there won't be the the economy of the people, the means of livelihood of people will not be eroded completely, because people can barely make ends meet, especially when it comes to moving around, especially those that earn salaries. They can barely make ends meet now. So the economy have to readjust, and every employer have to readjust and make sure that at least the take home of their worker is able to take them home.
Well, okay, Mr. Gujamiyo, let me ask you this. Now, is the downstream sector now fully deregulated? Now, aviation fuel was deregulated, we were told. Kerosene was deregulated. No, kerosene, AGO. I think that's the one they call AGO. What was also deregulated? Diesel and kerosene. Diesel and kerosene. Okay, Nigerians just took it in their stride. But with the deregulation of the downstream sector now, fuel prices going up, Nigerians are saying, well, why should we be the oil-producing giant in Africa, and yet we face such severe fuel crisis? Is there something structurally wrong with our oil and gas sector? You have been in Schlumberger, you have been in NAPIMS, you've been in NMPC, you are involved in the industry, you are a stockbroker, and they are talking about investments. What is wrong with our oil and gas sector? That Nigerians will say, we have oil, we are the sixth largest producing oil producing country in the world, and yet ordinary petrol we cannot have. They even say we are now depending on Togo to refine crude oil, Brent crude. What is wrong with us?
The good news is now we can refine. There have been a lot of effort to sell the refinery in the past. Even Obasanjo was able to sell them, but it was reverted. So this refinery cannot be, it's obvious they cannot be managed by the state-owned company. It's very clear they cannot be managed by the state-owned company, because as at the time I got into NNPC about 22 years ago or thereabout, the issue of the refinery was still there. It was some of them were producing, but it was very epileptic. It's never efficient. So they try to sell it, but it's like Nigerians see it as their I mean, you know, like your father's what your parent betrothed on you. You don't want to sell it, so they don't want to sell it. They believe it will work, but the best thing to do is sell it. And now they will still have that issue, because Dangote have been able to create a very strong monopoly, just like we had in the cement industry, in the oil, in the downstream sector now. So they may end up still selling the refinery in one way or the other. So on the production side of fuel now, I think to a great extent we are there. We're there already. We have about at the last count, because there are some modular refineries that work out. So if you count the modular refinery, we have about 6 refineries in the country that are operational in the country. If I'm not right, it will be maybe 5 or 6 now. So we are producing the oil in country. So how to save the naira is where government can make some effort through the NNPC, or whichever way they want to do it. Maybe they need to get NNPC to divest some of the assets, because the oil we have oil in ground, but we cannot produce it. We're producing by now. When I get into the industry, we're targeting. I think they set a target of 3 million barrels by 2010 as at that time. So we are still talking about the same target, and this is 22 years ago. So we're just bouncing around. We're not we have not really moved. We have only the production have even dropped severely, because we're doing about less than 1.6 now on the average. So if you say we are a giant in production, I won't agree with that, because we are very low when it comes to production, we are far, far behind in the world. Because people talk, I used to ask this question when I teach a class, because I do teach classes like petroleum economics and some other.
And then we'll go straight back to Mr. Ogunjemiyo, who has been helping us to unpack issues in the oil and gas sector.
Most of the contracts in NDDC are given out to members of National Assembly, but you don't know about it. It's okay.
When you need unbiased information, balanced analysis, reviews, and insights on the policies and programs that concern you, listen to City Talks with Reuben Abati. Be a part of it. Call 0700 1051 1051 to lend your voice on topics and help shape our country for the better.
My name is Reuben Abati. I will be your host on City Talks from noon to 1 p.m. every Saturday. Join me as we dissect major issues of public interest. You will be glad you did.
City Talks with Reuben Abati on your number one lifestyle station, City 1051. From noon to 1 p.m. every Saturday.
Well, welcome back to City Talks with Reuben Abati. And if you're just joining us, we've been having a conversation about the economic hardship in the country and increased fuel prices, the reality that Nigerians are dealing with. And our guest is Mr. Mascot Ogunjemiyo, a stockbroker and also an oil and gas industry expert with experience in NAPIMS, in NNPC Limited, and he's also a very well-known trainer in that industry, and he's also with Schlumberger J. So he has spent more than 32 years in that particular industry, so he knows what he's talking about. We'll come back to you shortly, but let's go back to Mr. Ogunjemiyo. Mr. Ogunjemiyo, if you can hear me very clearly from here in the studio. Now, you may continue with your train of thought, but I wanted to ask you that, look, people are saying that NNPC Limited is the problem. That beyond the fact that we're the giant and all that, you say we are not the giant, where we have to deal with OPEC quota. It's OPEC that has given us the 1.5 million barrels per day quota. If we cannot meet that, that's a problem with Nigeria. And that's what people are saying. The Port Harcourt refinery, people have said, it will be mechanically completed. Okay, where is the mechanical completion now? Since December 2023. And now, NNPC says we are no longer to be off-taker for anybody. If you want to buy from the local refineries, go there yourself. But some people out there in the conversation are saying NNPC Limited is the problem, that we are paying for years of mismanagement by NNPC. But in any case, talking about NNPC Limited, let me quickly remember in our prayers, the group General Managing Director, Engineer Mele Kiari, who we have had in the news, is bereaved, who lost his 25-year-old daughter. The president himself has issued a letter of condolence, and we at this end are condoling with him and his family and praying that may the Almighty Allah comfort him and his family and give them strength in this hour of need, of grief, as it were. Well, Engineer Mele Kiari, may the Lord be with you. May the Almighty Allah be with you. But to get back to the business at hand, Mr. Ogunjemiyo, is NNPC Limited to blame? Hello, Mr. Ogunjemiyo, did you hear me? Mr. Ogunjemiyo, are you with me? Hello? Hello, Mr. Ogunjemiyo, can you hear me? I'm not hearing you. Please, can you unmute your system? Please unmute your system. Hello? Hello? Mr. Ogunjemiyo, please unmute your system. can see him on the screen here, but I can't hear him. Hello? Hello, please unmute your system. Unmute your system. Hello? He thinks that NNPC Limited is responsible because the NNPC, the Nigerian Labour Congress president, has had cause to blame the federal government, saying that the federal government is not doing enough. It has also had cause to blame the NNPC Limited specifically with regard to the refineries. It has NLC has also complained about the non-payment of national minimum wage, the new one, 70,000 naira, and why we are in this kind of situation, considering how blessed we are. Mr. Ogunjamiyo, can you hear me now? You just need to unmute your system. I can see you on the screen at this end. Hello? Well, why are the engineers sleeping? They just need to call him. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Ogunjamiyo. Please unmute your system. Please unmute your system. I can see you on the screen, but I can't hear you.
I am on mute.
Yeah, but I can't hear you here.
I think it's from your side because I used two devices and I was hearing myself.
Okay. But I can hear you now. If you may just go ahead. If you had my last question, that is NNPC Limited the problem, as some people have been arguing. Hello? Can you hear me now? Yeah, he says he's unmuted. So why are we not hearing him?
contracts in NDDC are given out to members of National Assembly, but you don't know about it. It's okay.
When you need unbiased information, balanced analysis, reviews, and insight on the policies and programs that concern you, listen to City Talks with Reuben Abati. Be a part of it. Call 0700 1051 1051 to lend your voice on topics and help shape our country for the better.
My name is Reuben Abati. I will be your host on City Talks from noon to 1 p.m. every Saturday. Join me as we dissect major issues of public interest. You will be glad you did.
City Talks with Reuben Abati on your number one lifestyle station, City 1051. From noon to 1 p.m. every Saturday.
Hello, Mr. Ogunjamiyo.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you now,
Yes,
Mr. Ogunjamiyo. Yeah, simple question that I had asked before that engineering issue, trying to get audio connection. Now, do you think NNPC Limited is the problem? The refineries are not working. And now NNPC Limited comes and says, we will no longer be off-takers for anybody. Go to Dangote Refinery, Hammersmith, and other local refineries. And people say, it should not lie in the mouth of NNPC Limited to talk like that. After all, it's NNPC Limited that created this problem with their own opaqueness and the chaos that they created. Are they guilty as charged?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I won't say NNPC Limited is at fault. I won't say because NNPC Limited is to ensure energy security. The company is set up to manage the oil and gas business in Nigeria. So, and they are guided by government directive. So, whatever decision they make is not coming from the CEO directly. There are some things that are not really business like, because I remember when the current GCO came in as the GMD, the politics around it, so he has to retract his decision. So to say, oh, we can manage it, we can rehabilitate the refinery and make it work. So it is not NNPC that is making the decision that they are no longer going to be the sole off-taker. It's not NNPC. You could see that statement was coming directly from government. So they have been given that directive because the current administration is looking beyond being popular. So they have made that decision, taking that bold step that they want to deregulate the sector, and they are not going back on it. So that is why they said the NNPC should allow other people to offtake as well, so that we know exactly what the market is. So how they will manage these consequences, the consequences of it, especially if there is a drastic volatility in the oil market, maybe the crude oil price go down very low and it goes up maybe higher than the current state it is, the impact it will be on the petrol prices and other products. How they are going to manage that consequences is what they have to sit very well and think about it, because if they are lucky, there is stability, things remain stable the way they are. Yeah, it will be as you know that they have, as if they have been able to manage things better, and the environment will become stable. So we may not see any drastic increase again in the near future. So we will see some stability. So on the refinery side, well, they have given several dates. You know that even Dangote refinery did not just come on stream, and that's a privately owned facility. So it's a complex project. They also give due date several times before they finally achieve the milestone of producing, especially PMS. So for NNPC, it's going to take a longer time. All I can say is that there are work ongoing in the refinery. I don't know exactly what state they are, but there are work ongoing in the refinery, and you expect some inefficiency because of all these approval limits, bureaucracy. You expect that inefficiency in the system. But in general, it has been government policy and the political will that was not there in the past. Assuming this decision to deregulate fully, assuming President Jonathan was able to stand on his decision at that time to deregulate fully, maybe by now we would have gotten over the impact. This decision Ghana took several years ago, although it's also affect their economy. It's still impacting their economy up to today, but at least they are managing the headwinds. So inflation will still be there. So our inflation is from three sides now. Inflation is coming. The global inflation affects us. Our currency volatility is another source of inflation, and the food crisis we have. We can't feed our country. We can't feed ourselves. It's a major source of inflation as well, and the fuel subsidy that is removed is a major source of inflation.
Okay, Mr. Ogunjamiyo, you went historical. You recall that President Obasanjo, 1999 to 2007, tried to deal with the issue of deregulation. When President Yaradua came there, They said, oh, how can a man who is a socialist, and that was Labour opposing him, said a man who is a socialist, who is known as a Marxist, how can he impose hardship on the people? President Yaradua pushed back. Now when President Jonathan got there in 2012, President Jonathan said, oh, this subsidy regime is not sustainable. He set up a committee, the Ike Imokwede Committee. He removed petroleum subsidy. These same people who are in government now gathered people in Ojota Motor Park, gave them jollof rice, gave them pepper soup, gave them designer T-shirts, and said they were opposed to it. And then the Jonathan administration reduced the price. Now the same people are now in government. They've suddenly found a light on the road to Damascus, and they are now saying, oh, this has to be reduced. So all of this has to be put in context. The hypocrisy of the political elite in Nigeria. But that's not the question that I now want to throw to you. Just to tell our people about the history of this and how we see somersaults by politicians for their own personal benefits when it is convenient for them. But how do you think that in the short term, briefly, that the impact of this fuel price hike on the average Nigerian can be reduced? Lagos is almost becoming a ghost town. Traffic has disappeared in many parts of the city. Families have been told you can only use one car. It's hardship on the people. I don't know what the situation is in Abuja where you live. And yet you are being told by Mrs. Remi Tinubu, the First Lady, that there's no food for anybody who is lazy, that we should work very hard and we should be patient. Is that the way forward? Maybe Nigerians need to work harder. What do you think?
Yeah, thank you, Reuben. But just to let you know, I actually live in Lagos. I only go on business trip.
Oh, okay. So you are with us. We are in it together.
Yeah. So the issue with how to alleviate the suffering, especially in city like Lagos, is very, very difficult. I will say the quick one would be if we can increase food production and put food on, and food is affordable. So at least the hunger in the land will reduce to a great extent. And if employer can look at a kind of a way to alleviate the suffering, or to have maybe increase or have a kind of transport allowance for their staff. Buses, they should provide buses for labor. All those ones may just end up in waste of resources. And I'm not also bullish on the CNG impact, because it has its own issue, and it's not going to solve the problem. The reality is the reality. So how do we improve on the quality of, and make sure that the quality of life, the standard of living is not completely eroded? It's already eroded. So how do we make sure that it's not eroded beyond reasonable? So that is what I think they should do. That is, look at the salaries of staff, because it's a new reality we have. So people should be able to be paid what can take them home. And the teleworking aspect of it, we also impart a lot, especially in cities like Lagos. And we try and make sure that even if the security has not improved, wherever we have security, work very hard to improve food production, because a lot of the food we grow are arable, food we consume are arable food. They are things that can be brought to the table within 1 year. So if there are concerted efforts to increase food production, I think the impact would be less, because people are really hungry.
Okay, Mr. Ogunjamiyo, let's just go straight to reactions. from persons who have been part of this conversation with us. If you want to be part of this conversation, you can call us on 0700 105 1051. That is 0700 1051 11051. And then via WhatsApp 0909 916 4403. And then via at City 1051 on Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook. We will now take calls, comments, and interventions. And we have an industry expert with us in the studio who will address the issues. Yes, someone is on the line. Your name, your location. Please keep it brief, short, and simple.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Reuben Abati.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Sounds like Dr. Moses.
No, not Moses. This is not Moses. This is Titilopa.
Who?
Titilopa is the name.
Oh, Chichi Lokwa is the name. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Number one, let me say here that it's a fact that Tinubu came and made petrol price at less than 200 naira per liter. It's a fact that Nigeria is an oil-producing nation. It's a fact that for years, Nigeria as a country has failed to refine locally because of many, many factors. And it's also a fact that on May 29, 2023, Tinubu made that reckless statement. Subsidy is gone without any plan, without whatever, without even looking at the books that it came to inherit from the previous administration. And it's a fact today that Nigerians are hungry. We have unprecedented inflation. We have unprecedented hardship. And you would agree with me that if we had a better president, all of these problems we have today are all avoidable. So it's a fact against the comments of the president's wife that her husband is not responsible for the hardship. It's a fact that her husband is responsible for this hardship we have today. Now, going to my point, you see, I believe very, very strongly that if at all we knew what we were doing as a people, the president before the election would have told us how he intended to remove the subsidy. He didn't tell anybody. Even though I'm not in support of the subsidy removal, because I don't see any reason why subsidy should not be, because the main factor that drives the economy is the energy. And if Nigeria cannot have affordable energy, then you can imagine what has happened to us. The calamity that has happened to Nigeria. Many companies have left. A lot of middle-scale businesses have gone out. Have died. They have died. And today you can see what we are experiencing as a country. The way forward, sincerely speaking, we need patriotic people. President Tinubu is not a patriotic Nigeria. First of all, why are you talking about CNG? What is CNG? CNG ordinarily would have been an alternative to petrol. And petrol, as we speak today, is in abundance in Nigeria. Is it a crime for us to tap from the resources that we have? It's not a crime. And you have very good brought up the alternative to run pari passu with what you had before now, and suddenly you just said something is gone, and you declared untold hardship, and you have become a poverty machine to Nigerians. So for me, I think the government is not sincere. And that is one. Then number two, the NLBC board must go.
Can you keep it short, Mr. Titilokwe? Please keep it short.
Thank you, sir.
I have other people who want to say something.
Okay, sir. Thank you. They have no business talking about what Dangote should pay or sell in price. Because if you have your own refinery, you cannot use it, you cannot run it effectively, and you're now coming to tell Dangote what to do. Then they are a failure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I see Mr. Ibrahima also has his hand up. Can we have Ibrahima, please? Quickly. Ibrahima, please. Hello, Ibrahima, are you still with us? Hello? Hello, can we have the intervention by Mr. Ibrahim?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, finally.
Okay, Doctor, I'm unmuted now. Well, I will thank our guest speaker. I just want to say 4 things. Number 1, we have 4 refineries.
Bola Ogunlolu, who says it is ridiculous to think that when we have... Oh, okay. There's some disconnection there. And let the engineers worry about that. They seem to be struggling forever at this station with connection. Anyway, looks like there's a caller on the line. Can we take that caller on the line?
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah, I agree with the cerebral one. This is the original Dr. Moses now.
Okay, Doctor. Dr. Moses.
The original one. Please don't impersonate me with another person, I beg you. Anyway, look, you're about to say, Papa wa follow kuno na jeke. Odita ba photo and runda ele. Now, if I don't get lost in translation. NNPC, in its desperate bid to become an Aramco, never did. It became a case of pouring a new wine in an old wine skin. Did they deregulate by virtue of PID? Yes. Now, let me just make a bit of briefly. All these attractions that Jonathan wanted to regulate and Obasanjo tried it, Yar'Adua did it, all were...
So I think the government, they need to really wake up and do...
PID. And we should always put that in factor. If they regulate now, if they remove subsidy now, it is down to the fact that PID it now exists. So inevitably it has to go. It was not a single meeting. Let us learn some sense here. We are telling people here. The Tinubu just have to declare it. It was stated well in the budget. June of 2023, everything will be gone with respect to subsidy. Now, going back to what I was saying, if NNPC had gone to work for Aramco very well, I remember you had this conversation with, I think, Dr. Teriba from 2 years ago, when he now broke it down using Aramco and Petrobras in Brazil. That was what NNPC intended to do, but they didn't do it very well. Are they privately owned now? No. Are they civil government? No. So we don't know where they really belong. And that's why we have all this cacophony, this confusion every time. If NNPC is fully for the private or to be guided by private rules and private concerns, we don't know. Are they for government? They think so. It's the reason we're so until we find a solution to where they truly belong, this kind of identity is the reason we still suffer all of this. Because at some point, they are dealing as though they are working for government. On the other side, some other time, they are for the people or they are for private or without any business. Now, they told Nigeria that we remove our hands totally to let the force of market. It does not sound to fair. NNPC became NNPCL. Maybe the only thing that changed was just the L that was added, but not in effectiveness, not in transparency. It's so opaque, it is so inactive, and this is why we still find ourselves like this. Now, with respect to the economy being what it is, I will still put some blame down to the state government, even local government. We are a federation for goodness sake. We have concurrent lists. Things like food, agriculture,